Welcome to All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network. I'm Joe McGuire. And just when Ohio State seemed to be getting on track, well, the Buckeyes' Kavon Pope quits the team. Meanwhile, Clemson is definitely not winning a national championship this year after a second loss of the season, this time to NC State. Notre Dame QB Jack Coan was injured versus Wisconsin. Connecticut's Drew Payne lifted the offense for the win. We're going to talk about that. Also, we're going to preview number 8 Arkansas versus number 2 Georgia, number 7 Cincy versus number 9 Notre Dame, number 21 Baylor, and number 19 Oklahoma State, number 12 Ole Miss, and number 1 Alabama, plus several more of the biggest games of the week. In Happy Valley, the refs forced Penn State to punt on a third down. Georgia State now is blaming the SEC referees for helping Auburn against them. Ovi Winiz and Jace Garcia. Let's talk about this little scandal that's kind of breaking out. The refs have to stop making it so damn obvious that they want the Tigers to win.
I said it last week when we were talking about it. This is not, it isn't anything new. I feel like there's always a couple of these games for Auburn. I don't get it. We can keep complaining, but it just happens over and over again. I think this is the point. I'm accepting it by now. Like, if you're playing Auburn, you got to go up against the refs too. You got to win convincingly. Like in a fight, don't leave it to the judges' scorecards. Knock them out. And I guess that's how you got to beat Auburn now, because they got the refs on their side.
You finally now listen to me when I keep telling you that Auburn's getting lucky. They got lucky last year. They should have been under 500 last year, because three games that happened on the last play when Bo Nix fumbled the ball, when he tried to spike it and he spiked it behind him, okay, that was a fumble. Arkansas picked up the ball and ran it back, and the ref said it was a down ball, okay? That was one. And then, of course, there was a couple of others. But then this season, we see it again. And it was only Auburn. Why? I don't understand. Is it because they're the last team, the last game with them and Alabama? They want to make Auburn relevant for the rankings? Probably so.
Oh, yeah.
Or is it because down the street is the SEC office and they're all buddy-buddy with them?
I won't say it's just because the office is right there. It's just a matter of fact that, Alabama, it's also there too. Okay, they're not that far away from each other. So again, this is the booster of, you know what?
Alabama knocks people out.
Yeah, you're right. And what else than knocking somebody that's ranked to make them look good for the college football playoffs? There was a message online. They were doing some photos comparison about how Ohio State didn't deserve to be in the college football playoffs in 2015. In 2016, Alabama had lost one game, and Nick Saban was using his politic ways to try to get into the college football playoffs, and which helped. That resulted of Alabama and Georgia in the finals that year. Do you remember that? When Georgia was the SEC champion, and then all of a sudden Alabama was trying to squeeze their way in, and luckily enough, Alabama was ranked 4th. And they ended up still winning. But
was that because Nick Saban politics for that? Or it was because those were the two best teams in the country?
Because of that,
Alabama won the national championship. They didn't get in there in the college football playoff because
but they were not undefeated. They were not the best. You go and say one year that you have to be a conference champion, and then the following year say, no, we just got to be good enough. Am I right?
But no team was undefeated that year, though. There
doesn't matter. It doesn't. So they were never conference champions.
Teams.
Jace, listen to me. They were never conference champions. Something that Nick Saban was saying the year before.
This isn't NCAA.
You're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole point, Jace. Stop.
Don't you
Jace,
understand something? Listen, here's the problem with college football. It's plain and simple. And Ovi, I love Ovi, but he's like watching Ice-T on an episode of Law and Order. Like
There
the
you
shock
go.
value
There you
every
go.
week that there's perverts out there gets him, and corruption in college football
No,
seems
you're
to get you.
misunderstanding. You're
They
misunderstanding the
listen.
point.
Obviously, listen. An SEC loss doesn't really count as a loss if Alabama or Auburn happens to suffer that loss. Then all of a
Right.
sudden, well, that Georgia team was really good, and rather than take Alabama and drop them a couple pegs, it's just easier to elevate the other SEC team as well. That's what the racket that's been going on for years now.
Yeah, but the point is, if Alabama was to lose this weekend, let's say, right, then whoever are their opponents later down the schedule somehow will get ranked so that when Alabama beats them, they move back up in the rankings. That was the whole point. And that's
Okay.
probably what they're doing for Auburn. That was it. That was it. We don't gotta talk about
100
that
No,
no
I
more.
got a question about
We
that.
don't
I got a
need-
question about that. Hold on.
What's
No,
the
you can't
question?
just cut it off.
Let the man ask the
Listen.
question.
Yeah, ask the
So,
question.
Wait, is it because they want to make Alabama look that much better, or is it because the SEC is so good that we just love to throw teams in the top 25 in the SEC?
Like I said, it's for Alabama to look good for the finals. Exactly. They're going to politic their way in should they lose this weekend. That's what I'm getting
what
at.
was the SEC team last year? I think somebody had like 3 losses and got to play Alabama and was ranked 25th and got blown out, and it was like, oh, another top 25 win for Bama. Like on a team that had been number 1, like had been ranked top 25 for like 5 seconds. Get out of here with that bull. And they didn't even deserve to be ranked, and everybody knew it. And they went
No.
from 25, they should have been like 50.
Yeah, should have, could have, but hey,
I like
all 4
the
downs.
SEC. I feel like I come across very anti-SEC.
All 4 Downs is sponsored by CMG Sports Podcast Network. Visit clovercrestmedia.com for other podcast shows available. Please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, and of course on Twitter. Go ahead.
I gotta plug this. It's important.
Go
There's
right
a
ahead.
very important, very special show coming up on Saturday morning at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
On this program, I don't know if you've noticed, Ovi, but Jace is wearing a cap. He's wearing a cap this evening. Anybody who listen to the audio version of this, Jace has a backwards. What kind of cap is that?
It's the same Utah Jazz cap from the John About the G-Man show.
The Jazz cap. Yeah. All right.
Mm.
Saturday morning at 10, maybe 10. Right, we'll probably do it right off the top. 10 o'clock. Jace will take that cap off and he'll explain what happened.
Yep.
You don't have to explain now, Jace. It's all right.
You gotta save
I
it
saw-
for Saturday.
I saw the pictures. But hey, if you didn't learn your lesson on this show to not to bet, I guess you learn again from another show. But hey, let's continue on. Hey, good news for the Louisiana Monroe quarterback. Rhett Rodriguez is went back home after suffering a collapsed lung and chest trauma. He was in ICU in the hospital for a few days. I'm glad he saw him. He is the son of the former head coach, Rich Gonzalez, former Michigan. So best of luck for him and his recovery. Also, big issue in college football, the National Labor Relations. The council wants to threaten actions against the NCAA because they use the term student athlete. And this is something that Joe is on fire about. Joe, listen, maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe it's just something that I feel like it's very little. Like, why are we making a big deal about this? You know, for some people like myself, they think about student athletes like, oh, he's a student athlete. He's going to college and he's playing sports and someday might be in the professionals. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, as was said in the statement, I mean, the term was meant to blur the line and to make it like it's a student athlete. It's their first priority is being a student, which is baloney, and everybody knows it. And we've always known that. You're there to play your sport. And if it's football, you're definitely there to play football. Okay? So yeah, I mean that term was again used to obscure the employment relationship with college athletes and discourage them from pursuing rights under the National Labor Relations Act. I don't know that you want this thing to get unionized, but I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm sure that's coming. And listen, I think we gotta shake ourselves in this country for being worried about billionaires and millionaires having to pay a little bit of money out to people that are working for them. College football, college basketball are like billion-dollar a year industries, multi-billions, and that's going to the schools, and it's going to the SEC office, especially to the SEC office. Schools in Texas, schools in Florida, couple in California.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
These kids deserve money. They should be paid. I remember back when Charles and Ed O'Bannon at UCLA were like, "What is going on here? I'm playing a video game of somebody who looks just like me, and I'm not seeing a red cent of this." EA Sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would have been easy for these greedy SOBs to have made this concession many, many years ago, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to hold on to every last penny. And I'm sure many of them are dead now. Really old SEC guys I'm talking about. You know what I mean? The guys from like the 20s. They're finally dying off. And it's a new day. I mean, you look, you're taking these kids from a lot of the times inner city, poor areas, and you're exploiting them and their talents. And
you're right.
They're not getting anything for it. And so it's hard to say, because look, the O'Bannons ain't getting nothing out of this. Like their ship sailed, right? This is for the guys now and the guys and gals now and in the future. But these athletes should have been getting paid all along. It's funny, again, I'm not a big fan of the Olympics where in some sports we send professionals and in some sports we send amateurs. Is it an amateur event or a professional event? Can you imagine being a tennis player from Croatia? You spend your whole life playing tennis to play in the Olympics. You upset a couple of people. You show up for the gold medal game. And you're facing Serena Williams. 6-0, 6-0. You're out.
Yeah.
Come on.
Still getting paid.
Listen, we're just trying to we're just trying to level the playing field for everybody. And again, to look at what the SEC's doing to college football is a microcosm to the bigger picture of athlete exploitation, which is also what this thing was built on. It's interesting how much of the South and Southern pride is built off the backs of other people. It's shocking.
Yeah, well,
and no gratitude.
I mean, with this unionization of the student athletes, the NCAA has drilled that into our head. I don't know why they're getting mad at everyone the term student athlete, but I mean, this is only the logical step, right? The NIL laws passed. They can start making money. Now you unionize, make sure that their voices are heard and that they're getting the treatment that they deserve. Which everything's going in the right direction, but this is years and years overdue, and it's good to see it go. And I mean, because of how old, like you're saying, Joe, the NCAA is, they're going to butt heads at it and try and stop it. But eventually, like the NIL law, it's going to break through, and eventually the student athletes or college athletes, whatever the hell you want to call them, they're gonna benefit like professional athletes.
Well, I tell you what, the name itself, I think it's ridiculous to even make it a big issue, because other professions still use the word student, like a student teacher, right? They're not certified teachers yet, but they're going to be. But they're still getting paid. They're getting paid like any other teachers. So what's the big deal?
Student teachers get paid, right?
Right. And so now the players are getting paid now.
Right, but student athletes didn't.
They did, but now they are.
No, they weren't. Now they are.
Right. Exactly. So they are getting
You
paid.
couldn't even get a
So-
job if you were on scholarship.
So why make it an issue if they're not getting paid? Doesn't matter if it's student.
I think it's only becoming an issue because the powers that be are still working as hard as they can to stop it.
Mm.
Like, that's shocking that they're still, I mean, and they're being very low key about it, but they're trying to stop it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know we're gonna find out more about this as time goes by and everything else, especially during the off season, because news like this come out, then it gets quiet, you don't hear about it, and then it comes up whenever a crisis happens. So we'll see what happens there. But to move on here, Ohio State Buckeyes linebacker Kayvon Pope quits on the team. Later, Ohio State announced that he is being dismissed, and he has now entered the transfer portal. Now, look, I'm always about standards and discipline here, and if you put the school on notice on live national television game to act out the way you have instead of acting professional, why would another school want that person in that team? I'm sorry.
Because he runs a 4.5 40 and he can bench 260. That's why.
Well, eventually he's not starting because he wasn't that good enough. Or if he is, there was just somebody that was much better. All right. But to have a tantrum in the sideline the way he did, and then to tweet F Ohio State to later delete it. Yeah, okay, buddy. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. But hey, if another school wants him, maybe it'd be a subdivision team or something like that. But hey, I don't have no empathy for him. Clemson dropped by NC State this past weekend for the second loss. You mentioned it, that no more championships for Clemson, especially this year. Maybe not next year. But I am surprised that they are still in the top 25, especially the type of offense that they have. They do not have a top 25 offense, but they
don't have a top 25 team, period. And I mean, what a disgrace that people just can't let it go. I mean, we're here's the whole thing. Look, we're rewarding teams week by week. We're not rewarding you for last year. We're not rewarding you for the 100 years your program's been going. We're not rewarding you for your previous championships. It's how did you do last week compared to everybody else? It's a very subjective poll.
It's a fair statement right now. It's a very fair statement.
There is a handful of teams very deserving with one loss that are in the top 25. To be a 2-loss team, to have tumbled and to have looked as bad as they have and as inept on offense as they have, get out! There's got to be a 1-loss team, 26, 27, 28, that has earned their way into the top 25. And you guys have used the word politicking tonight.
Hey, my Army's doing better than Clemson, so they're not even
Somebody else
ranked.
should be ranked 25th. It should not be Clemson. I don't know how many more games they have to lose before we just toss them. Maybe it'll be this weekend when they lose to Boston College, because that's happening.
Well, hey, Notre Dame quarterback Jack Cohn injured during the Wisconsin game, and it was a deja vu because he lost his starting job because he got hurt with Wisconsin. Now he's back, but they are saying that he is making a good recovery. He may start this weekend. However, you have to thank Connecticut's Drew Pine, who lifted the offense for that win. And, man, that offense looked totally different behind Jack Cohn.
Drew
totally
Pine has an awesome name. He's got a name of what sounds like a guy who will play in the NFL someday.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Auburn already with the SEC. But hey, the next news was a terrible tragedy. Washington State wide receiver Brandon Gray was in stable condition after being shot. Another man died. And then also Utah football player Aaron Lowe killed in Salt Lake City in another shooting. The incident was less than 1 year from the previous teammate and friend Ty Jordan. And now this has gotten out of control throughout throughout all sports, really. There's something better has to happen, better education for these guys. I understand they just had finished playing a game, and of course these are young adults, but they still need guidance. And I don't think they understand the seriousness of what it is to try to be mature and trying to be your own self, right? And I think they need to do more to protect these students. But this is too much, man. Very. Go ahead, Chase.
Aaron Lowe and Ty Jordan, you're in Utah. Why do you need a gun? I mean, it sucks what happened to them, but like you're surrounded by Mormons that aren't gonna do anything. I'm from Utah. I don't see why you would need a gun in Utah. So I don't get why you're messing around with that and stuff like this happens. And you're right. They do need to educate. I don't know how is this even getting on campus? How is this stuff happening? Because it's ridiculous. I don't even know. They need to educate them. And I mean, if this continues to happen, we need to take away their rights. Do they need to be searched? Do college athletes need to be searched every week or something? They need to search their dorms for guns and that stuff? Because it's ridiculous.
I'm glad that Chase has just represented the viewpoints of Mormons and everyone in the state of Utah. And I'm sure it's a super safe state.
I don't know
why.
I think you need to be careful what we say there.
When you put that graphic up before, I was going to say it looked like Will Tyler got off easy.
Hey, listen, we'll move on. And you're right. The bottom line is they do need the education. They need protection for these students, and the students need to be wiser.
Not for nothing. I get on Coach Mullins down there in Florida all the time for what a jackass he is. And tonight I got a little something to say about Gary Patterson. It's so important. Listen, to win college football games. I understand, but even more important than that is teaching these young fellas, these student athletes, or these paid athletes, or whatever you want to call them now, teaching them how to be grown-ups. And how to solve problems, and how to handle themselves, and how to, that's really what your job is. It's not just to beat Penn State, you know what I mean? Like, that's nice, but, get these kids, out of trouble, because it seems like there's always a good dozen of these stories every college football season. And it's tragic, it's unfortunate. And I'm sure you're going to find out, right, that all the signs were there. This kid was having some issues, missed some practices or whatever the case was, and nobody did anything about it. Now he's dead.
Probably was hanging around with the wrong crowd. Maybe there's some jealousy between females, or who knows what's going on.
Listen, you got to teach these guys discipline. You got to teach these guys respect, so that when they get out in the real world, they know how to behave around other human beings.
Absolutely. And it doesn't help, especially the SMU-TCU rivalry that happened this past weekend. Accusations on flag planting incident happened, but a concussion on an assistant was not confirmed. The head coach of TCU trying to make some terrible accusations, man, that wasn't even proven. And I'm like, look, man, if you're going to step that low, how are you going to teach your student athletes, or if I could still say student athletes, how to step up, how to be a man, but hey, besides that, Miami head coach defend his team because of ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit's comments criticizing about they're no longer a powerhouse status.
Well, they're not.
If you're playing Central Connecticut State University in your schedule, you're definitely not a powerhouse. I think I stamp my mark there. No, absolutely not. And then another coach, Florida State football coach Mike Norvell, is defending his program. Why they're starting to 0-4. I'm telling you, You suck.
How many more losses does he need before the boosters get him kicked to the curb?
I mean,
How
this is
many-
only the second season, right?
They're like, hey, we're not paying all these players in
They just don't got
cash
the
and home
talent.
fees for you to be 0-4, buddy.
They don't got the talent. But the good news is Notre Dame versus BYU will happen next year in Las Vegas, 2022, and that's a game to watch. Especially both programs are that good. Both programs are ranked, and they will continue to recruit awesome athletes to their programs. So I can't wait for that. But hey, let's go to the top 25. We'll start with myself. I have Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma. Those are my top 6. Reason being, man, Notre Dame played good. I think that most people are now looking Notre Dame underrated. I think they're good enough to be in contention outside looking in. Oklahoma has not been impressive. I am not sold of them being ranked number 3, according to the AP polls. I mean, I'm sorry. I think they're ranked 4th from the coaches poll. Excuse me. But I like Penn State, man, and I can't wait till they face Ohio State. That's going to be an awesome game. But I got a feeling that Penn State is going to represent the Big Ten as of right now. I do have Clemson out of the top 25, along with Iowa State, Liberty, Stanford, North Carolina. They're done. I think those colleges will not even see the top 25. It's kind of hard to imagine, but I got to give props to Arkansas, which they have a big game this weekend. They're going to be playing against my team, Georgia. So this is going to be interesting at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time Saturday. Man, I can't wait. So that's one of our picks that we have there.
Who's your 25? The
Yeah,
ticker
that's my-
was who was your 25?
Oh,
The
my
ticker was
25
covering it.
was Oklahoma State.
Oh, okay.
Oklahoma State. So
How many
yours
losses does Oklahoma State have?
0.
0.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And Jace
right.
doesn't think they even deserve to be on the list. That's nice.
No, see,
who-
listen.
Who
okay.
doesn't? I'm sorry. Here's my full list
Trevor
right there.
Lawrence
There you
went to
go.
Clemson. They were so
No,
good.
I get that. Okay.
All
But,
right,
I
you
mean,
got it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Dabo has shown that he's a good coach. He's struggling this year. But if any team with 2 losses deserves to be in the top 25, it's Clemson. I put them there just
Yeah,
because,
but none do.
just out of respect. I don't think they deserve to be there.
Bro,
I
4
think there
games
are
in,
better
they've lost half their games. That's not a good team, and you know it.
Yes, I get it, but I respect Clemson. I respect Dabo.
And
So
you
I'm just putting it
don't
in there.
respect Oklahoma State.
No, because I don't, because Mike Van Gundy has shown last year they were started off great and then they imploded.
So when Mike Van Gundy
they-
goes out and wins his first 4 games, and you're like, yeah, but Dabo won half of his, he should be ahead of you.
No, I trust
Okay.
Dabo
No,
to
I
turn
was just
around
curious what your
And
thoughts
also,
were on that.
more. Oklahoma State's played every game close. Tulane.
Yeah, Clemson's played all their
yes,
games
I
close
get it.
on the
But also-
on the wrong
okay.
end even twice.
I told you, I just put them there out of respect. I don't think they're actually there. I probably would have put like a Boston College. I do think Oklahoma and Baylor, the winner of that game, is going to get in my top 25. I put Army there. SMU, I think, is underrated. They got an explosive offense. And, yeah, I still got Cincy at 3 because they're the best team in Ohio. They're going to prove it this week when they take care of business at Notre Dame. And
And you've
Yeah.
got Ohio State 12th because they lost the game.
yeah, and they've also, yes.
But Clemson's 2 losses,
And 25th, yeah.
you gotta keep them on the list. That's interesting. Okay.
I'm glad that you got Army up there.
So about
Yeah.
every 12
Mm.
picks, you're like, whatever.
I gotta give Dabo respect from what he's done. If any coach
I got
that's
it.
if any
Every
coach that is
12
2-2,
Every
any
time you
coach
get
that is
about 12
2-2,
slots, you're just like, well, who do I kind of dig right now?
if any
That's
coach that
fair.
is 2-2 can change it around.
Jace,
It's
Jace,
him.
he's just getting roasted right now by Joe, man.
Okay,
Do you understand Clemson's going to be 2-3 after this
Joe,
week?
I
You're gonna
want
have
you
a
to
hard
know
time
I
keeping them on
agree
your
with
top
you.
25.
I agree with you, Joe. I agree with
Yeah!
you. I
Say
said I
it!
agree with you.
Well, it's
But
time for the
out of
picks right
respect-
now. It's time for the
Out of
picks.
respect.
So looking here, here's our record. I'm in the lead 25-16. Joe,
Boy, I was
you're
6
climbing
and
up.
14 last week. Somebody want to tell me how good I did?
Yeah,
Dude,
you
I'm
got
like
you
Marty
went,
from Back to the Future, dude. I had the book. Holy
you went
smokes, Jace,
you
huh?
went 9-2 on this one.
9 and
I got to give
2.
you props, but so did
I
I. I
had
went
Clemson
9-2.
getting upset. I
Was it an
called that one,
upset?
didn't I?
Did you call that an upset
It
though?
was for Jace. Look who's up.
Mm.
Speaking of upset, look who's upset now.
Yeah, I
Ah.
mean, my picks all last week were terrible. In this MMA, which tune in Saturday, throwing jabs to see what happens there, and then even college. I mean, even NFL. Like I don't know. Last week was bad. Throw it out the window. Keep moving forward and get back on track. It's an uphill battle, but we're getting to the top no matter what. Let's go. Let's pick some.
All right.
games.
Hey, but before we do, we got some requests on some of these games named James Lill. Thank you, James, for being there in our show. He wanted to know Washington versus Oregon State. I'm gonna tell you right now, Oregon State is gonna run over Washington. That one's probably at the minimum a 10-point win for Oregon State. Washington is not, they're not having a good season this year, man. So, and then this was a tough one. This is a toss-up. Arizona State is not ranked, and I had told you before, once they're in the top 25, they find a way to lose. And since they're not ranked, I see an upset over UCLA because they do have that talent. Jace, you love the Pac-12, man. What do you think?
Well, I think we're going to get into this a little bit. I love this game. It's going to be a great game, regardless. I mean, the spread where it is, -3, that's perfect where it is because I think it's a field goal game for each one of these teams. And, yeah, I honestly could see it going either way. And but when we get to it, I'll give my pick.
All right, I got you. And we're going to start right now with our very first one. We have Iowa and Maryland. This is a Friday game. And Joe, since we finished tied, you're the first one in the shoot, man.
Good. All right. Yeah. So listen, the Hawkeyes, pretty good defense. Everybody knows that. Ranked 13th nationally, allowing just 272 yards a game. It makes moving the football against this team tough. Obviously, everybody likes Tulia Tagovailoa. He's been fantastic, hitting 75% of his passes, 10 touchdowns. Last year, the Terps, I don't know if you guys know this, gave up the second most rushing yards in the Big Ten. Right now, fourth fewest. They've completely turned things around. I got Maryland in the upset, 27-24.
All right. What you got there, Jace?
I think it's a good game. I think both these teams really match up well with one another. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I mean, Iowa football is basic. Run the football, set up the play action, get it to the tight end. This might be
the worst offensive line that Iowa's had.
You're ridiculous. That's absurd. That's actually ridiculous.
Not a good offensive line.
They have the best offensive lineman in the country in Tyler Linderbaum. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Weak.
I do think that
it's a big letdown, Iowa standard wise.
Sam Okaya, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this. 4 sacks on the season for Maryland. So if he can get the pressure and get to them, maybe. But no, I like this Iowa O-line. They're going to get it done. Iowa's going to be able to run the football, set it up. But on the defensive end, Iowa's defense is really good, especially against the run. But the thing is Maryland is going to look to pass. Tua's little brother, Talia Tagovailoa, is going to he's going to light it up. So I think it is going to be Iowa's going to control the clock. Maryland's going to try and make those big plays. I think in the end, Iowa's going to get some interceptions and force Talia Tagovailoa to turn it over, and Iowa gets it done because Iowa is the best team in the Big Ten right now.
Okay, so you pick Iowa.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go for Maryland myself, and the reason why is Iowa has never won in Maryland. Okay. All their victories have. You're right, but all their victories has been in Iowa. traveling over there while Maryland is hot. Okay. Out of respect, Iowa has only given up 10 total points in the second half this year.
I got
However,
news for you. Maryland's
Maryland,
not only hot, they're good.
yeah, they're good, but I'm not going to overhype it like they're that solid. I'm not going to go there. Okay?
We'll wait till next week after they beat number 5 ranked Iowa.
And that's okay because that will give a colossal in the top 10. So
maybe Jace will rank them 26th, right behind Clemson.
All right. Another game of the week, Arkansas visits Georgia, and this is going to be an awesome game, man. Joe, go ahead.
Well, sir, the Razorbacks played against another top defense last week when they faced the Aggies. They're heading into another defensive showdown with another top defensive team. Arkansas has allowed just 14.5 points per game. The Bulldogs have been virtually impossible to score against, giving up 5.8 points a game and 3.3 yards per play. The defense has 14 sacks and 29 hurries through 4 games. Number 1 in the SEC in scoring defense, rushing yards against, and in total defense, passing yards against. Meanwhile, I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to come down to the wire, but I got Georgia winning on a late touchdown, 16-9.
All right, this is going to be the third week in a row I go against Arkansas, and it's not going to bite me in the ass this time because you want to know why? Georgia is a national championship contender. Arkansas, I think Sam Pittman's great. I think he really gets them up and going and ready. Like they came out super hot against Texas A&M, and once they started, they could not be stopped. I don't think you can do that against this Georgia defense. As far as Arkansas's offense goes, KJ Jefferson, Traylon Smith, and Treylon Burks, that big three is good, but KJ Jefferson's gonna need to be able to get the ball to someone other than Burks, and I don't think they have the guys like Georgia does. Georgia's offense, JT Daniels, he's had some injuries, he's expected to play, but they just have everything. The beast in the backfield with Zamir White, James Cook, and Kendall Milton. Any one of them can get going and have a 100-yard game like that. And then Brock Bowers and Jermaine Burton in the pass game have been beasts. And to think this Georgia team can pass for as much as they have this season without George Pickens is ridiculous. And it speaks volumes to JT Daniels. This Georgia team is just too many weapons, too many players, too many studs for Arkansas to face. So I got Georgia.
All right. I've definitely got Georgia. But Georgia has won 2 straight meets against them. However, being in Georgia, the last time they played, Arkansas did beat them. But I believe that Arkansas has this big hangover by beating the Aggies that they ain't going to show up. And that's why the point spread is 16.5, maybe more by the time we hit Saturday. So Georgia is guaranteed going to win this weekend. All right, moving on to Cincinnati and Notre Dame. Now, this is a fabulous, fabulous game. I am excited to see this game. Joe, what you got and why?
Cincinnati's come up with 6 interceptions the last 2 games. Notre Dame's Jack Cohen still hobbling. He is expected to play. The Bearcats have the offensive line to hold up against Notre Dame's defensive front. The D's been a brick wall in the red zone, so I'm going to go Cincinnati 23, Notre Dame 15.
I've been high on the Bearcats all since last season. They are a playoff contending team. They're going to get it done. I know they haven't been able to get at the quarterback. That's been their big problem. They're going to do it against this atrocious offensive line, allowing 20 sacks. Jack Cohn, he can't beat you. He's a good game manager. He can take control. I don't think he can beat this secondary for Cincy. Desmond Ridder, Jerome Ford is going to be too much for that Notre Dame defense. and the Cincinnati Bearcats are going to get it done and prove to everyone they are a legit top 4 team.
All right. I respect that. But I'm going for Notre Dame on this one. Did you know that the last time really that Cincinnati Notre Dame played was October 20th, 1900? You would think that they would have already played between now and then, right? And Notre Dame won 58-0 in South Bend. Now, I'm sure that the only thing they did was run the ball. I don't think they knew how to
even have helmets. They actually were using a pigskin.
So the history will repeat itself if freshman Drew Pine would start. Now, if Cone was to start, it might be undecisive. But Desmond Ridder has not been playing like a Heisman guy that I thought he was. But then again, there is no quarterback right now doing it anyway. So I'm picking Notre Dame to get the job done. Ole Miss versus Alabama.
Oh, did everybody already pick?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
Where
bad.
have you been?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Welcome back, Joe.
It happened so fast. I don't think everybody went.
Yeah.
Listen, Bryce Young is absolutely fantastic. 15 touchdowns and a pick. The Crimson Tide ranked 4th in the FBS with 46.5 points per game. Ole Miss ranks 1st in FBS in points per game at 52.7. Did you know this? And in yards per game, it's 635.3. I think this is going to be a great game. I think Ole Miss is if they're got any chance in this game, got to keep it close in the first half. I think we've seen that. However, I do think Bama ekes this one out. They're going to win this one 44-38.
Yeah. All right. And OV, you were wrong before. One person pulling away with the Heisman thus far this year has been Matt Corral. He's a beast. 997 yards, 9 touchdowns, 158 on the ground, and 5 rushing touchdowns. He's a monster. He's distributing the ball well. This offense is elite. No one can stop it. Alabama, they're going to give them their best. It's going to be a great game, but I do think the young quarterback in Bryce Young makes a mistake down the line because Ole Miss, while they are allowing a bunch of yards, they are only allowing 20 points per game. So they're able to slow it down and stop them in the red zone, make touchdowns turn to field goals. I think it's a shootout. I think Ole Miss gets it done for the upset.
All right. Look, if there's any time that Alabama's going to fall, it will be against this game. I'm not ready to give it to Kiffin yet. I'm going to stick with Alabama. It's only October. It's still early. I just don't see it. And yeah, you're right. Matt Corral, Bryce Young, they're Heisman hopefuls. But if should Alabama win, then we're not going to talk about Matt Corral being a Heisman winner. This is the game. He has to beat Alabama to be considered. So, but I'm not ready yet, man. I'm not ready. I'm still hopeful that Alabama and Georgia finish undefeated for the SEC championship. Next up, Oklahoma visiting Kansas State. There you go. Joe?
Oklahoma and Kansas State. All right. The Sooners have struggled to deal with the Wildcats, who are trying to win their 3rd straight in this series for the first time since the early 90s, when Kansas State was actually pretty good. 6th-year senior Skylar Thompson's out with a knee injury, which he's defending against Southern Illinois. While he's been doing it more in practice, it appears he's still a couple weeks away from playing, which means sophomore Will Howard, who has been incredibly ineffective in his place, will start. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I do think Oklahoma is going to change their luck in this series. They win this one 45-31.
Yeah, this is a revenge game. They've been beaten around 2 years in a row. They're not going to take it anymore. I do. I mean, a lot of Oklahoma fans are calling for Spencer Rattler's head. So if it's close at all, and they do make that switch from Spencer Rattler, I can see Kansas State pulling off another upset, but I don't think it's going to happen. Oklahoma's on a mission to get this one done.
We're not gonna take it. Oh no, we're not gonna take it. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. You guys remind me of that song for some reason. But now I got Kansas State beating them, man. If they can handle Jalen Hurts and they beat Spencer last year, the head coach know what he's doing with Kansas State. He knows the formula of how to beat Oklahoma. I'm taking Oklahoma for the win. Bam. There you go. No, my bad. I'm taking Kansas State for the win. Let me backtrack my statement. Kansas State.
You're gonna regret that backtrack.
I won't. But
I think you're gonna.
I think you're gonna what?
Yeah.
Ohio State at Rutgers.
Love this game. Rutgers has a really, really good defense. I think they're going to be able to keep it close. Unfortunately, they don't have the offense to keep up with what Ohio State can put out. The Scarlet Knight offensive line has gotten a lot better, but Ohio State's front four is going to be a little bit too much. Ohio State 31, Rutgers a 21.
I struggle with this game so much. I think Rutgers is very similarly equipped like Oregon was. I mean, multiple running backs out the backfield. I think they're going to be able to get that run game going. Ohio State's defense is struggling. So I think they'll be able to get the run game going, eat up some clock, keep it close. But those wide receivers in Ohio State, and even Trayvon Henderson's been a beast in the run game too. But that offense is just going to be too much. Ohio State gets the win, but I think if we're going by spread, I think Rutgers can cover.
No, we're not going by spread on this one, but all right. Ohio State's undefeated against Rutgers. There's a lot of turbulence going on within the locker room of Ohio State, and I think that's going to be helpful until the game. And Ohio State is going to represent. They're going to defeat Rutgers. Look, it's not going to be a close one. I'm going to tell you that right now. So Buckeyes will win. Now we hit to the spread. Florida versus Kentucky, 8.5 favorite to Florida. Who you got, Joe?
Well, first of all, I think it's unfortunate that you're selling Rutgers defense short, but that's all right. As for this game, Kentucky's trying to be more explosive, trying to be more of a downfield passing team, but it's also been able to control the clock. They've been great on third down. The line's been stronger. Overall, they're number 2 on defense among SEC teams, only behind Georgia. However, this Georgia offense will be able to move the ball up and down the field, the defensive front. I think will put up a pretty good performance, which will cause Kentucky to struggle. And Florida wins this one 34-23.
Damn. All right. I like Kentucky. Their QB, Will Levis. I actually grew up playing against him. He lives a town over from me. So I like the Kentucky Wildcats. I've liked them all season. Also, Wayndale Robinson, the transfer from Nebraska, has been great. But with Florida, their defense is better than last year. And Emory Jones, he was on the hot seat. All the Florida fans were calling for Anthony Richardson to get the start. But he used that Alabama game as a get-right game. When do you see Alabama as your get-right game? He's killed it since. I like Georgia to get it done. No, I'm going Kentucky. I'm going Kentucky with the spread.
Okay. All right.
It's always a close
one. Everything sounded like I liked it until he got to the very end.
Look, I got Kentucky on the spread.
Jace, what's the matter?
I'm focused. I'm dialed in. I need wins.
Your picks have been atrocious tonight, but all right. Is that what's going on? This is you focused? Yikes.
Yes, I'm going to win.
All right.
11-0 this week. Let's go.
Okay, well, definitely not 11-0, but I agree with you with Kentucky because when Florida goes to Kentucky, it's always a close game, and they've been doing that for the past 4 games there in Kentucky. So even though Florida has won twice in a row, it doesn't matter. Whether Florida wins or not, it's going to be close. Yes, that's right, Joe. You could put that face right there. Here we go. Oklahoma State and Baylor, 3.5 favorite. Now, let me give you a history on this one. On Monday, I was looking at the spread. Baylor was favorite at 4 points. I checked Wednesday, and it shifted to Oklahoma State. Imagine that. Never seen that done before. But Joe, are you all in for Oklahoma State or Baylor?
I tell you what, Jerry Bohannon's been pretty fantastic for OSU.
Baylor,
But yeah, for Baylor. Listen, I'm not a sucker. Put it to you like this, okay? Oklahoma State always finds a way to lose. This is going to be that game. I'm pretty sure they're going to lose this. Baylor in an upset, 27-24.
Oh, I think both these teams are very similar. I know OSU has had some close calls in the past couple games. Baylor, I mean, undefeated, but no real like breakout standout win to me. I'm just gonna go Oklahoma State because they're home.
All right. Look, no one's talking about Baylor. Baylor's been on a down low, okay? But I'm gonna go with Joe on this one. I'm going for Baylor. I don't think people are underestimating Baylor. They do have talent, but no one's talking about them. And once they defeat Oklahoma State, we're gonna get to know who is the Baylor. What they call the Bobcats, right?
The
Yeah, I'm
Bears.
telling you, I feel like they're poised. I feel like they're poised for the upset this week.
Auburn visiting LSU. Auburn has a new starting quarterback, and he is a former LSU quarterback.
Revenge
And
game.
this is going to be interesting, Joe.
Yeah, listen, all year LSU having problems on third down. They're not running the ball a lick. The pass rush has been great, 18 sacks in the first 4 games. Although I think like 6 of those came in one of those subdivision games. Max Johnson's been good, 65% of his passes, 15 touchdowns, 3 picks. It comes down to the wire. LSU wins this game 27-24.
I picked against LSU last week. I'm gonna do it again. I don't think they're a top 25 team. I
But
mean,
Clemson is. Oh, jeez.
yeah. I'm already. I've
You-
apologized for that.
Am I not
multiple
going to
times.
bring it up?
explained
I
to you.
can't bring it
No,
up.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, I'm on your side, so you can keep bringing it up all you want. But Auburn, I actually think Finley was the best LSU quarterback last year. When he was leading the offense, that was when it was its best. Now he's at Auburn. I think they're going to look better than they did with Bo Nix, and I still Tank Bigsby is a beast. I think they're going to be able to get the run game going, and Finley's going to be able to do what Bo Nix couldn't. Auburn gets it done in Death Valley.
Oh, so you're picking them now. All right. Well,
Yeah,
I'm picking LSU, and the referees will not have Auburn's side on this one because this is an SEC game, and being at LSU, TJ Finley's gonna wish he was back in LSU on this one. They changed their approach. They did lose to UCLA, right? But give credit to UCLA because that was their second game while LSU was playing their first game. And I'm telling you right now, 3.5, I would have made that margin a little wider on that one. But hey, I'm not the bookie on this. But LSU, they're going to get it done. And speaking about UCLA, they're going to go and host the Arizona State. So, right, I'm right. Arizona State. So, Joe, this is the team that Jay said that they had the best defense.
Yeah, interestingly enough, UCLA scoring 38 points a game. Arizona State scoring 32.5 points a game. The Bruins have given up 25.2 to the Sun Devils, as Jace has pointed out. Very impressive, 13.5 points per game against. Rashad White and DeMonte Trainum Pretty good 1-2 punch out of the Sun Devils backfield. But you know what? UCLA's got the same thing with Charbonnet and Brown. Very similar opponents, these two. ASU sloppy. They'll make mistakes. They'll make some penalties. UCLA at home, I think they get it done 31-24.
UCLA is perfectly equipped to beat the Sun Devils. They only allow 64 rushing yards per game. Sun Devils, that's how they get their offense going, is with that rush game with White and Daniels coming out of the backfield. And, so I love Charbonnet. I've been talking about him since 2 years ago when he was at Michigan. He's a beast. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson and him get it done. And, they cover the 3 points.
All right. I got UCLA winning 3 straight against Arizona State. All right. Now, our last pick. This is the over-under. We got Louisville visiting Wake Forest. Over-under 62 points. You take it over or you take it under?
Yeah, I'm going to go. I've got to score Wake Forest 34, Louisville 17. I just did the math quick. That's 3, 4. That's 51. So I'm going to go on the under. I love Malik Cunningham. I really do, man. This guy's a superstar. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this game, but yeah, I think you're getting the under on this, Jace.
Well, life's too short to bet the under. You always want to root for points. Over. 62 points. I think both these teams can score 30 on each other. So yeah, I'm gonna go the over 62 points.
Well, finally, I agree with something with Jace. This game is gonna go over 62 points. This is gonna be a shootout. Regardless of who wins or loses, it doesn't matter. It's going to go over 62. So
Louisville's giving up 14 points a game coming in, just so everybody knows.
And I just want to let you know that with Wake Forest, it's just different. They know each other, man.
No, I get that. You got a very disruptive defense. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, very balanced. I'm giving you
a 9-2 answer. That's what I'm giving you.
Yeah,
I've been winning for all these weeks. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I've noticed
I'm the top dog here.
I've noticed last week you also went 9-2, and I picked first. And this week I noticed you and I have very similar picks. We only differentiate, I think, on one game. I like your new strategy. Wait till I pick and then go with me against Jace. That's a winning recipe.
When I give you the script, I'm already have my winners. Okay, look at this. Look at my notes.
You know what I think? We should share our notes with Jace.
I tell you what.
This is the comeback.
Next week, I will make sure that I pick first. All right.
Also, wasn't he supposed to get a pie in the face for something? I know he said no, but I'm pretty sure there was a pie coming.
I'm pretty sure there was a bet, too.
There was not a bet. There was not a bet.
I remember Obi saying he's getting a pie in the face, and you were like, no, that wasn't a bet. It seems like it was a bet. No, you
said, I don't remember what the pick was. You're like, Jace, you're picking so well this season. I'm going to give you the respect. If this happens, then I'll put a pie in my face just because you are so excellent on this show. That's exactly what you said.
I think it was similar to what happened Saturday because
but I don't
want to ruin this. Also, I don't want to ruin this for you, Ovi. I made a statement. I said, without Jace even being involved in the conversation, I said I was certain. I had all the certainty in the world Volkanovski would beat Ortega. So much so, I said I would shave my head if Volkanovski lost. Because there was a 0% chance of Ortega winning. And I explained it for what, like 10 minutes, Jace? And then he jumps in and he's like, I'll take that bet.
Oh, I was like, that's the worst mistake right there.
Obi, it wasn't, I didn't even put a challenge out because it was so ridiculous.
Hey, but by the way, you'd still look good. That's
my boy right there, though.
But
right there.
You still look good, man. Yeah, don't be ashamed of the bald head, man. You look good, man.
I'm not. I'm going to take my lumps this week.
He
but
looks
when
like
I get back on track and I get back to the top, y'all better get ready for when I'm speaking. That's all.
Oh, well, we're still waiting. There you go.
Yeah,
Look at
I'm
that.
taking my lumps. I'll sit here quietly, take my lumps because I did terrible last week. But I'm
Oh
coming
my
back.
God,
Believe
what
me.
kind of hair is that? Is that a
That's
wig?
one. Oh no.
Oh, you look like Professor Snape from Harry Potter.
Oh man. Oh, this show is brought to you by CMT Sports Podcast. All four downs. Follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and of course, you can follow me on Twitter, OV_HHW Show. Visit my website, hhwshow.com, to hear the latest news, not only just football, but also professional wrestling, as the HHW Show podcast will be returning soon, sometime in October. And without further ado, we got the last call, the last whistle. It's fourth down. And my man, Joe, you got the floor.
TCU coach Gary Patterson criticized SMU for its role in the scuffle that followed Saturday's game in Fort Worth, Texas. After the Mustangs' 42-34 victory, several players tried to plant their flag at midfield, as teams will do when they pull off a huge road upset. But TCU players, they didn't like that. They responded to the attempt. There was a little dust up. In addition to some of the Horned Frogs players, assistant coach Jerry Kill also got involved. He sustained a concussion after he was knocked down not once, but twice. It's not clear whether it was TCU or SMU players who may have knocked Kill down. Now, Patterson was very upset, and I totally get this. He says this whole thing looked planned. Which means the Mustangs believed that they were going to win, so much so that they planned how they were going to plant the... Well, you get it. And see, they did. They did exactly what they said they were going to do. The other reason head coach Patterson's upset is because SMU used one of Patterson's country songs to mock his team about their loss. Yes, in case you didn't know, Gary Patterson is a country music recording artist in his spare time. This was a song he recorded after the COVID-19 pandemic began, entitled Take a Step Back. See what SMU did there? They said TCU took a step back by losing a home game. Hey, Coach Patterson, this whole thing could have been avoided if your team had taken care of business. And that's on you, 100%. And by the way, stick to your day job. Thanks so much for checking out All Four Downs, part of the CMG Sports Podcast Network. Visit clevercrestmedia.com for more great shows and get all the latest college football news at hhwshow.com. For Jace Garcia and Ovi Muniz, I am Joe Aguirre. We'll catch you right back here next Thursday night at 8 o'clock for All Four Downs.